Hello, and welcome to And Then We Fought a Dragon.
And then we fought a dragon.
My name is Becky,
I'm Desiree.
and we're here to chat about some D&D. We're here back with Campaign 1 with Kaylin and the crew, and gonna find out what's happening to them. So I'm right away gonna pass it off to Des to let us have a bit of a reminder about what happened last week, and then I'll let y'all know what happened this week, and we'll chat about it a bit. So take it away.
I'm excited. We left at an unnerving, stomach-turning cliffhanger last week, so I'm ready. Speaking of last week, so last week you guys decided to wing it.
Yeah.
Just wing it. You found a chasm because of in the shed, the runes, the shed, chasm. Then it became clear that wasn't really that relevant because the trial got moved to sunup, and at the trial, 180 real quick of literally everything.
Craziness.
My next point is just they dead, and by they I mean so many people, specifically the king and queen.
Yeah.
But
plot twist.
They did. Oh, and then also, of course, the pink-haired man was the cause of all that.
Yeah.
So chaos ensued, and suddenly you are in the Feywild.
Yeah. Didn't expect that one.
There was the cliffhanger, and that's pretty much it. Short and sweet, because I would like to find out what the next step was.
Exactly. Yeah, so someone's mom sent us off to the Feywild, which was a little shocking. We came to save her. She, I guess, saved us, maybe. We don't know. There was some theories about that. But yeah, we found ourselves in the Feywild. We were near a dense little kind of copse of trees, which, side note, I'm someone who reads quite a lot, and so there's a lot of words in life that I encounter that I've only ever read and never really heard pronounced, and I've always pronounced copse of trees as corpse of trees. Which apparently is not how you say it.
Oh my gosh. Want to know what's funny about you mentioning that?
Yeah.
I was talking to my brother this morning, and he was trying to pronounce something, and he was giving me all these variations, and I was like, I need a little context, because I'm really struggling here. And then I wish I could remember what it was, because it was hilarious. But I told him, I said, it's okay. I know somebody else who also has this problem, so you're not alone.
Well, that's good. Thanks, Sam. I appreciate that.
That's really funny. But also, that one doesn't make sense.
I know, because there's no R in it. I've just always added an R.
Oh, well.
Yeah, so we are near a corpse of trees. I'm just kidding. A copse of trees. Hear like some running water nearby, and again, being in the Feywild, like the colors are too vibrant, the grass is a little too soft, you can almost hear the wind rustling each individual leaf, so it's all kind of a little trippy, very otherworldly. And off in the distance we can hear kind of a low rumble of voices and some hustle and bustle. And as we look over the tops of the trees, we can see the tops of like massive tall buildings kind of surrounding us with this grayish shimmering kind of reflective material, just like the tallest buildings we've ever seen.
Do you have a description of what like types of buildings, or just buildings in a general sense?
Kind of a little like almost industrial-ish, I guess. Maybe industrial's the wrong word, but like think like a downtown, like tall kind of.
So not castles.
Skyscrapers. No, like El Eleanor is very polished stone turrets and all sorts of things. Not really that same kind of vibe. It's more hard edges and things.
All right.
Yeah. And at this point, we all rolled a history check on the Feywild, just to kind of like get a vibe of what we know going into this world. And quite a few of us, based on our checks, would have kind of heard bedtime stories growing up, old wives' tales. Feywild intersects, as we've experienced, with the material plane in gates. We've been to one of the gates near the Blackwell's Manor.
Yeah.
On our side, not on the Feywild side of it. We didn't use it. But the Feywild kind of mirrors the material planes. So in the whole idea of like onions having layers, the material plane that we exist on is kind of the middle. And then there's a mirroring top layer above it. That would be the Feywild. And then a mirroring level below it, which is the Shadowfell, kind of like the dark mirror version.
Yeah.
So we're in typically the good mirror version, I guess, but it's still a little weird and everything. But there's kind of a theory that even cities and things in the material plane have a mirror reflection in the Feywild, and like they'll line up, but in reverse. So the idea that we've come from El Alinor and landed seemingly near a city, kind of like maybe this is the Feywild version of that city, which could be kind of cool. That's a bit of an urban myth, though. We're not confident on whether that works.
Okay, that gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
I don't love it.
Looking through a mirror in another world, looking back at you kind of idea. A little creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing that we know about the Feywild is kind of the time tends to work differently there, or at least there's rumors that it does. Not many people come and go from the Feywild, but some say time moves slower, some say time moves faster. So we don't really know what it'll be like going back and forth between the two. But we are now here in the Feywild, and we decide our best bet in trying to get out is to go towards this civilization that we seem to be noticing. And maybe someone there will know where the nearest gate is that we can use, or a spellcaster or something to like help us get back. And before we head to the buildings, we decide to follow the water, just in case there's like maybe a gate right there, just above the water.
Yeah.
And we find a small clearing with a little kind of gray-white stone fountain in a small pool, and there's little spells making the water dance, and it looks all pretty and fun. And Selwyn kind of tentatively goes forward to like take a little sample of the water just to see if anything weird happens. And nothing weird happens. It seems like pretty normal water. And looking up at the Feywild gate we were last at, you could kind of see shimmeriness in the sky where it was like a bit of a portal situation. So we kind of look up and we can't really see anything, not anything that we recognize as being a gate. So we assume there's nothing there, and start to head for the nearest buildings, which are to our right, although they surround us all the way around. And Selwyn's kind of taking the lead here. She's like telling us to just act cool and chill, follow her lead. And so we're all trying to be cool, a little swagger. We're not cool, just so you know.
And cool collected?
Yeah. We're not cool collected. And we stress that Kyrian should not do stealing here, please, because we want a good impression so that we can safely get out.
Yeah, and you don't know their like ramifications of taking stuff out of a separate world.
Yeah, and like the magic is a little bit different here, I think, in some situations. Like the repercussions may be different than what we know. So we start heading towards the buildings to our right, and as we're walking towards those buildings through the trees, we come across a cobblestone path running parallel to the direction we're going in. It's beautifully manicured. Grass is all very even, nothing out of place. But it doesn't seem to be going towards the buildings. So we're like, well, do we not take the path and just keep going towards the buildings? Or do we follow the path? And we'll assume it will take us to buildings eventually. And so we take the path. A path's got to go somewhere.
A roundabout way of, I guess, figuring out where you're going. But a path is a path.
Maybe the path will take us somewhere more useful rather than just like walking towards some random buildings.
Based on, the past few sessions where you've just absolutely gone a little haywire, a path is a direction. It is something.
Yeah. So we take the path and we go off walking down it. And as we are walking along, we come to now a fork in the path. And now neither fork seems to be going much closer towards the buildings. The right side seems to circle around kind of back to where we came. So that doesn't seem super useful. So we follow the left path and we come to another fountain. This one is a different one. in a pond. And at this stage, our DM had us all roll a general intelligence check. And based on our rolls, it became clear we were in a city park. And the paths were going nowhere because there were sidewalks around a park. So, yeah, that was a little embarrassing, I guess.
I'd say that's a lot of embarrassing, but I wasn't there and it wasn't, observationally.
Yeah, so like we took the path because the path has got to go somewhere. Where did the path go? Nowhere. The path, we need to not make plans because plans get ruined. Not follow paths because paths go nowhere.
Yeah, I feel like that's proof. No more even trying to make plans. You guys are bad at it.
Yeah, winging it works so far. So we veered off the path and just towards the buildings. Let's just get out of the park. And we exit this kind of wooded area right onto like a bustling big sidewalk. And there's elves of all shapes and sizes walking by. There's a big road in front of us with like these magical horseless carriages that are zooming around, or even big kind of carriages full of lots of people that kind of stop periodically and on and off, and then they carry on. And these massive tall buildings. This is the biggest city that any of us have ever seen, even compared to El Alenor, which is a huge building of itself. And all the main floor shops at the ground level main floors of the buildings seem to be shops at the ground level. And there's kind of these staircases going down the road to the side that people are going up and down, and signs and advertisements everywhere, all written in Sylvan, which is a very ancient language that's generally related to Elvish. Kaylin, me, does not speak Sylvan, but Selwyn and Ava do. So that's good. We have some people who speak the language, and it's everywhere. All the signs.
It's not a language you've encountered yet.
I don't think I would have. It would generally be like kind of a formal language used by high elves based on my understanding of it. So I suppose we might have encountered some of it in El Alenor, but not in a barrier type way.
Okay.
They speak Elvish as well. So we seem to sort of be in, as a metaphor, almost like an Elvish New York or Paris, like a very busy city. Lots going on, very hectic. As a little country girl from a small village, Kaylin is very overwhelmed, and a few of the others are too. Selwyn is pumped. She is like on board for this big city. She just went through a bit of a traumatic event, and she's ready to like just pretend it didn't happen for a while and just experience what's happening right now. So she wants to kind of go shopping and like have some fun, and decides to just kind of bolt down some of these stairs that are near us and see where people are going. And so we follow her. Kaylin's kind of keeping very close because I'm a little worried about getting lost with everything that's going on. This seems like a real big city. And as we go down the stairs, it's kind of basically like a fantasy subway station. There's like a ticket booth, and people have these colored tokens that they kind of drop in a turnstile. Certain colors will pop back up and they'll grab them before they go through. And there's a platform on the other end of the turnstiles where there's some rumbling, and through a tunnel, this capsule type train, if you will, pops in, and the whole side opens and people rush off and rush on. It snaps shut and keeps going off down the tunnel. And so there's a lot of hustle and bustle down here.
This feels very, sorry.
Yeah, no, fine.
This feels, I don't know, I haven't read this series in so long, but Artemis Fowl?
I haven't read that one.
Okay, well, it's been a long time, but it's like fantasy and all that sort of thing, but modern, like
almost like a steampunk-esque, where it's like a blending.
A little bit, but even more technologically, like it's modern, but I guess it's like steampunk aesthetic with a very modern take, and that is reminding me of it. Yeah, we had some descriptions here that were definitely in the steampunk-esque realm of how things are looking and behaving and stuff, which is there's a Secret Garden steampunk version, and it's, I mean, that's so off topic, but it goes along, like, see, if you imagine the story of the Secret Garden and the like how, fluffy and whatever, but it's set like in a factory, and it's intense. But continue. I like
We're gonna have
the
to get
world.
more information on that later. That sounds cool. So yeah, there's the trains going on, and this capsule type train, capsule like a pill shape, was also described as being like a short giant worm shape, which is now canonically how we refer to it, as a short giant worm, just going along through the tunnels here, rumbling its way through. So that's a great visual image if you want it. If not, just put it away. Don't have to keep it there.
The SGW.
What's the SGW?
The short giant worm.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, sorry, I'm just not clever enough to pick up on that right away. I need a little help.
Pretty much said the same thing you were saying back to you, but fine.
I'm not very good at picking things up very quickly.
No, it is what it is. Anyways, continue. So you're on the giant worm.
Yes. Well, we're not on the train. We're just kind of observing it. And as we look around this area, that we're kind of in a lobby, I guess, there's a large map on the wall with like the city and where all the stations are and things. And the legend and the labels are all, again, written in Sylvan. So Selwyn and Ava can kind of read it out to us. And the city is this perfect square grid with a circular park in the middle, presumably where we came out of. And the subway station itself is shaped like this glyph throughout the city that none of us actually recognize what it is. But I suppose that might be what it gets its magic from. This whole glyph shape is what powers it, essentially. Could be kind of cool. Yeah. And someone maybe start reading out parts of the map. There's like a theater district and a shopping district and all sorts of touristy kind of stuff. And there's pamphlet maps, but again, they're all written in Sylvan. There's none actually written in Common, which seems a little odd because this could potentially be seen as kind of touristy stuff, but not necessarily, I guess, catering to tourists from the material plane, more like inner Feywild tourists, I guess.
I mean, you gotta cater to who's there.
Yeah. It's easier to get there from within the plane than outside, really. So Selwyn's kind of checking on the map, and she's looking for like maybe an embassy of some kind that connects to the material plane. There's nothing. Maybe like a tourist center. There's nothing, but there is a Capitol building, so maybe that could be useful. And there is almost like a mall directory list of shops names on the side. And so we decide maybe like a magic shop might be kind of useful to see about getting either a plane shift spell or getting connected with a spellcaster powerful enough to plane shift us, or again, just asking where the nearest gate is. Maybe they'll know.
Something.
And Selwyn also wants a place where she can do some shopping, just for fun. And so she chooses an area that seems to have kind of a variety of
some retail therapy.
Yeah, exactly. Very much. Maybe some clubs, just hang out a little bit. And so we head over to the ticket booth with Selwyn acting as our Sylvan interpreter. And she asks about buying some of these little ticket tokens. And we each get a one-day pass that we can repeatedly use. And we head through the turnstiles, catching our little tokens. I think Ava fumbled hers a little bit. She was not having a good time, by the way. Ava was not pumped to be in the Feywild. So her just dropping her token as it came out was just like, oh, another thing? Like, seriously? She was not vibing. But the rest of us were interested in what's going on, I guess.
Maybe, like, I don't know. Maybe some people, like, not that they're being rejected, but they just aren't compatible.
Yeah.
If you're not, like, maybe it's just not a compatible space where you don't, literally, you don't vibrate on the same plane.
Yep. The Feywild is not Ava's plane of choice, for sure. Yeah, so we headed through the turnstiles, getting all our tokens, and Selwyn kind of guided us to the correct platform for the space that we want to be going off to. And the train thing clatters in, and we all kind of rush on because it snaps shut quite quickly. We didn't want to get left off on the platform. And as we're bumping along the tunnel, it's a very jerky ride. It's like these things are literally bumping along the sides of the walls as they're going down. And as we're just kind of observing, suddenly a funny hat appears on Kirian's head, which is a bad sign because after we learned that Kirian had murdered the Archbishop, we drew up a contract that he agreed to follow for a set period of time as a way of kind of regaining our party's trust and proving his intentions as a member of our party. And I'm going to read that contract to you quickly. So there are 3 sections of the contract. 1, Kirian must provide full honesty on any matters that may affect the party in any way, so not just go do his own thing. 2A, if the entire party vetoes one of Kirian's actions, he must concede. B, if there is an objection to an action that doesn't have a universal agreement from the rest of the party, Kirian can make the decision for himself, but may a silly hat while doing so at the discretion of the party. 3, failure. The agreement can result in either A, a temporary ban on stealing based on the severity of the infraction. He is currently in a temporary ban that just when the contract was signed, there was one set to begin with. And B, dissolution of the relationship between Kirian and the rest of the party in the case of a major breach of terms. And we had all signed this and agreed to it. And so a funny hat just appeared on Kirian's head, seemingly that he put there just as a little, I'm gonna do something you won't like. And he appears to be trying to pickpocket somebody. And some other people on the train seem to notice and kind of like get up to move towards him. And then he like holds up Shade, his spider familiar, and is like pretending he's pulling him off the jacket of this man that he was standing quite close to, being like, whoa, dude, you gotta be careful. These things are poisonous. It's a black widow spider. And the guy is just kind of like, oh, thanks, I guess. And just like everyone else is like, oh, okay. I'm pretty sure he just pocketed something throughout that process with his little silly hat. And so he seems to be quite pleased with himself. Seems to have found a loophole, perhaps.
Is it that Paul? Is he allowed to do it himself?
Technically, he shouldn't be, but yeah, it didn't seem like too major an infraction. I guess if it had gone real south, that would have been a problem. I guess it worked though. So
interesting. I mean, personally, I think it's hilarious. But
I know.
based on the contract, at that point, what's the point of having a contract if you're just going to do what you want anyways, with the consequences already put in place by you yourself?
Yeah, we'll have to touch base with him and check those dates of his preliminary don't steal kind of period. But also, maybe we don't like the Feywild that much, so maybe he does get free reign here. I don't know.
Maybe he pickpocketed something really, really cool.
Yeah, maybe it'll benefit the whole party, and then we'll be okay with it.
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out.
It's easier to apologize than ask permission.
Yeah, that's definitely Kirian's policy, and I think all things, if he even does apologize, there's just no permission happening for sure.
That's
yeah. So we got off at our station after bumping along and just kind of followed the crowd up and out back to the street level. And at this point, we're surrounded by like slightly shorter, but still very tall buildings of kind of the same look, and there's shops everywhere. And again, someone wants to have some fun before we head back. She figures the problem of finding a way to get back is going to take a while. It's not going to be like an easy snap fix. So we may as well have some fun while we're here, make some plans for the evening, do some fun stuff. And Ava's not super on board with this. She doesn't want to plan for fun. She wants to find a way out and just like pursue that way out. We don't want to be here longer than we have to be here. And so there's a bit of debate back and forth there about that, and I kind of voiced that like maybe it won't take too long to find a solution. Let's ask around first and just like get a vibe for how long it's gonna take, and then plan from there if we need to stay for a little bit.
Aren't you also on a time frame because of like the ball?
I mean, yes, but also we don't know what's gonna happen when we get back, like what the time is going to have done. Because again, there's that theory that time moves faster or time moves slower. We could have been gone for 4 hours. We could have been gone for 3 years, according to some of the stories. So it's a little hard to fully commit to rushing when we don't actually know if that's going to make any difference at all.
That was always my least favorite part about Narnia.
Yeah.
How the time changed. I found it obviously it was a huge plot point and moved the story along because they covered hundreds of years of, what was going on, but I was annoyed by it.
Yeah, it's very much that kind of situation. You never know what time you're coming into, what time you're coming out of. You can't go back to the same area. Like, even if you left, came back, left, came back, it would be different times probably at this point that you'd be arriving in all these places. You'd be screwing up with the time continuum.
It's so confusing.
It is.
Okay, well, so it doesn't really matter because nothing matters at this point.
A little bit. Yeah. So we decide to look for a magic shop and get those vibes. See if there's an easy way to get back. Some way we can get some control over it. And we find a magic shop called Walter's Wizardry. Inside there's like baskets of small trinkets. Some piles of spell scrolls. And Walter, the shopkeeper, is there and greets us all and asks us if it's our first time in Eladhill, which sounds remarkably similar to El Alenor, interestingly. And so, yes, it is our first time in Eladhill, and we here on purpose. We're kind of looking for a way to get back to the material plane and wonder if he has any ideas, spell scrolls, etc. And he says that the nearest gate is near Cathrir, which is another city a day or two ride north.
Believes it comes out near the material plane city
of Corintha. I mean, is a place we know, at least, not necessarily where we want to go to, maybe, but that could be useful to know. Alternatively, we could pay a spellcaster or a mage to do a plane shift spell for us, but with there being 5 of us, it could be quite expensive, and he's not really sure what it is, but Maggie, another nearby shopkeeper, did a material plane visit on holiday or something a few years ago, and she might have a bit of an estimate, so we could go ask her if we wanted. So do a bit of a group huddle to see where we want to go from here. Like, do we want to go back to Corintha or try and find a way to get shifted closer to El Alenor? And Selwyn very much wants to go back to El Alenor and like help her mom figure out what was going on there. We definitely left it in a bit of a mess. There was a whole scene going on there.
You did leave it, but you also just got booted away from it.
Yeah. And we didn't cause the mess. We didn't stop the mess, but we didn't cause the mess. But we do want to like get her mom out. We don't just kind of want to abandon her mom to that. But Ava really doesn't think it's safe to just like bamf right into El Alenor. Because who knows what will be left of El Alenor by the time we get back. Will it be up in flames? Will this dude have taken over? Will this dude have moved on to like Corintha and be wreaking havoc there? So she thinks using the gate and getting back to Corintha and then figuring out what's happening in our world at that point is a better place to go. But someone's arguing, the journey from Corintha to Alenor, we don't have a spell scroll anymore to teleport there. It's a 3-week journey. And that's a lot of time to
Too much time.
Yeah, a lot could happen in that we could ideally prevent if we're able to get directly there. So going the safe way is a big waste of time. And it would be great to get as close as we can. And then if we get there and everything's bad, we just bail immediately and kind of regroup at that point. But at least we know and are close enough to be able to do something.
Yeah.
And this debate was a little tense between Ava and Selwyn. The rest of us were just kind of a little watching back and forth. It's one of those moments, a little concerned, like, we are in character, right? This is in character. It's not in person, right?
I would be like, hi, everyone. Just pause. Time out.
Everyone okay?
Well, yeah, is everyone okay? But also, I'm too sensitive for this. I can't.
It was okay. We were in character, so that was all right. But it was a little tense. And we decided we are going to try and get a little more information on like how expensive is for trying to get a plane shift closer to El Alenor. But before we go chat with Maggie, we decide to shop here a little bit before leaving, and we all kind of roll some checks to see what we notice and what stands out to us. And I notice a rack hanging on the side of the door with little heart lockets with names on them and kind of little charms with names on them. And Walter says that they allow you to talk to the person whose name is on the locket or charm once a day in a 13-word message, and then they can reply to you in a 13-word message, which seems kind of cool. So I'm like, oh, I'll get one for my mom.
Yeah.
So I bought one for my mom, kind of pointed them out to the others. And we thought, hey, if we get little bracelets with each other's names on them, if we get separated, we can talk to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we all got charm bracelets. 8 charms or 8 names. And we each got, the 4 other party members that, like, if we hold on to all 4 of them, we can send everybody a message. Or if we just hold the one, we can send that person specifically a message. And then I can send, they can reply, they could send, I could reply. So we can get a few messages in each day with each charm. And I got my mom's name in the charm as well, instead of the necklace. And some of the others also chose like friends and family's names, some of the boys' names back in Corintha, just for fun. And possibly some completely random names just to like mess with people. Wonder who did that one.
That's like the texting your number neighbor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so out of character, spoiler alert, Kyrian may at some point be leading an army of Allens because he didn't choose it with a specific Allen in mind, so he can contact all the Allens simultaneously.
That's like, isn't that the gopher meme? That's like yelling Alan.
Yeah. Alan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially that's what's going on.
He's gonna make it his goal to convince them all individually that they are the chosen one and just lead his army of Allens. I don't know that in character though, but it's gonna be funny.
I'm so stressed. For no reason.
But it was fun. Now we've all got charm bracelets. We're super cool. You remember those like little, I don't remember, the kind of click charm bracelets?
Oh, I do.
Really in when we were in junior high? That's what I'm picturing. I'm picturing the little click bracelets.
Those we had charm bracelet parties.
Yeah. I never had one. I had like one charm, I think, that I got probably at one of those parties, and I never had an actual bracelet.
Not only did I have a bracelet, I had a watch face.
I remember that. It was very cool.
I had a light pink watch face and multiple charms, which based on the person I was, that was kind of out of character for me to really participate in like
in a trend.
But I love tiny things.
They're so cute.
So I jumped on it. But I'm sorry you missed out on having that experience.
It's okay. It's fine. It's all good.
I can almost guarantee none of us have them anymore. So now we're back at the same equal playing ground.
Well, guess what? My D&D character has one now, so I'm super cool now.
You're the coolest out of all of us.
Yeah.
Obviously. Who would have thought? Almost
no one.
15 years later, your D&D character would be living your 13-year-old dream.
Okay, so we've established that I'm pathetic, but anyway, back to D&D. At that point, we headed out to Maggie's, and going down the street, we came to Maggie's Magic Glass Shop. And the window display shows like lots of blown glass, like ornaments and vases, and very pretty. And as we enter, on one side, there's also a lot of large glass mirrors that are kind of like playing scenes on them, just kind of randomly, which is kind of cool, just sort of fun. Yeah. And we meet Maggie herself, and she mentions that besides selling glass blown objects, they also sell fortune-telling mirrors, which is intriguing.
Have you ever been to the glass shop at the Forks?
I think so. I don't go in there very often because it does freak me out a little bit being near so many breakable things.
Literally me. I'm like, it's so pretty, but I can't go in there.
I can't afford everything I might snatch. Sorry.
Yeah. But it's putting a picture in my mind. Yes. That's like my experience, my interactions with the world often do get like a glossy coat of fantasy. Yeah. And so I actually get to hear a different, of another version. Okay, continue. So fortune-telling
mirrors. Yeah. But before we get on the fortune-telling mirrors, we ask about this plane shift stuff. Get business out of the way first. And when she went to the material plane a few years ago, it cost her 75 gold individually to get a plane shift, which is quite a lot. For all 5 of us, that would be like almost 400 gold. That's a lot of money. We don't really have that much money. And she suggests like some ways we might try getting money. There's the lottery, but the draw isn't for like another month, so we'd have to hang around to enter the lottery. There's the casino. We could go do some gambling. Or there are the games, which is a team competition. And there's prizes for the top 5 teams, with first place getting a monetary prize. But the games are like tomorrow. But some of the teams might be like have some spots open for someone to join. So like maybe we go part of the games, possibly.
Oh no. I'm so scared for you guys.
I was a little nervous about that too. It sounds almost a little like Hunger Games-esque.
Oh, I was
Nothing
thinking
not quite that dark.
Oh, that's even scarier. I guess I was a little bit still stuck in El Alenor in that aesthetic, because I was thinking like a Knight's Tale version.
It might be more that than what I'm concerned about.
Hunger Games is. I mean, I didn't really I read Hunger Games when it first came out, and not to be that person, but literally before anyone else read it, and then everyone else was reading, and I was like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be this popular. Right. But after the Hunger Games, I never got into any dystopian, any of that stuff. It doesn't interest me.
I love me some dystopia.
But I'm sure there's lots of other series and stuff to conceptualize what it could look like, if that's the direction. So I don't really have reference to that. So it's probably going to stay in the more
It might even like be more like the Olympics type thing. Like each country being a team and the team doing things. Like it might not be as bad as I'm imagining.
Not as much as to the death.
Yeah, I'm hoping not to the death. Generally, like lighthearted games like that are not necessarily to the death. I don't think the Feywild's quite that creepy a place, but we'll see if we decide to go that route. And then having these ideas, we decide to ask about the fortune-telling mirrors. And Selwyn kind of asks, like, is there a way to sample one of the mirrors? And Maggie has this little compact mirror that she pulls out that just shows you a tiny, short, little potential future. And she warns that it'll just show one of like thousands and millions of potential futures. It's not the future. So don't dedicate your heart and soul into it, because every choice you make could change the future a little bit. So it just finds potential futures that might be a thing. It's a gimmick. It's not something to make plans using.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any logistical sense, because I can close my eyes and do that.
Well, yeah, why would you buy that when you can imagine it? But it can just imagine, even darker things than you could possibly imagine, and show them to you and scare you, or even more amazing things than you could possibly imagine, etc. So someone decides to look in this little sample mirror, and based on her reaction, definitely sees a dark future predicted, not good times. And then the other 3 also decide to take a look and also see probably seemingly pretty dark and disturbing futures sent to them. And with each person, Maggie's like, do you really want another of you to try this? I feel like you guys should learn. Do you really want to try this? She's almost trying to convince us not to, because like it's scary.
Well, it reminded me of something, and I can't think of it, but it is scary, and I don't like it.
It's scary. And so it came to me where she was like, do you want to take a look? And I was like, no, I don't think I do. The future is going to be what it will be, and I don't want to accidentally like make it happen or not happen by having something in my mind that I'm trying to avoid, too focused. But while the others have been looking, I've been kind of idly looking at the big sale ones, and they seem to sort of be running through just random futures of random people, random places. And so I'm just kind of looking at them, and I see a few things I recognize. I see Corintha, and there seems to be a large hall of people in fancy dress. That's a nice future. We like that. Yeah. I see a glimpse of the jungles of Crawdon, and then I see a glimpse of El Alenor, and it is burning. And that's where we ended session for today. You don't love the cliffhangers, do you?
Well, okay. Not to say that nothing is happening, but it's literally the last 4 sessions are just edging. It's just edging
It's the downside of short sessions. You get right to the edge of something and you're like, oh, not till next time. Not till next time.
But it's like, yes, not till next time, but you guys don't continue. I mean, obviously you do.
We're trying to get back.
I'm not criticizing anything that's happening. I'm just frustrated because I'm confused.
It will all become clear, I'm sure.
Will it? Are you sure?
No.
Nothing, because I guess, here's how to explain it. Like, when there's a problem, you need a solution.
Yeah.
And then another problem comes up.
Yeah.
But you guys just have a problem and then a problem and then a problem and then a problem.
I get like a feeling that they're not all small little problems, but actually all big connected problems that we'll be like doubling back to deal with. That's kind of part of the vibe that I get.
Okay, well, I understand that some people appreciate the huge climax, but some people don't. And some people are very confused.
We went shopping. We had fun. It was a lighthearted time in the Feywild.
Okay, hello, we're back. Audio complications, but the point was, I'm confused, and I feel, I like what's happening. I'm not dissatisfied, but also there is like a little bit of frustration.
Like, it's one thing when you're watching a suspenseful movie or reading a suspenseful book because you can just keep watching or keep reading. In something like this where it's very episodic, you just have to wait. You don't know when in a movie you can be like, oh, I've got this much of the movie left, it'll resolve in the next 20 minutes, or this much of the book left. We don't know how quickly this suspense is going to resolve.
Maybe I'm also getting like possessive, where I'm like, okay, everybody, we need to figure stuff out.
All part of my plan to lure you into feeling like you need to play D&D to be in control of the story.
No, it's so different, really. I'm assuming, but hearing it, not like you understand because you listen to other people's campaigns, but you would never understand what it's like to listen to your own, right? No. Yeah. But we can relate on the fact that like listening to it. But in my defense, the ones that you listen to are not in, you can, like you said, you can just keep going.
I can see timestamps and whatnot.
Yeah. But anyways, I do like what's happening. I find it fascinating and it's really fun. And all the little intricacies I think will make for like exciting times.
And like, even though this session, like maybe we didn't get a lot done, but I feel like all the time we spent charm bracelet shopping, like one day we're going to need to talk to each other after having gotten separated. And these bracelets are going to save our butts. They're going to be very useful.
Yeah.
So yeah.
For sure. I love those bracelets. Yeah. But I guess, we can, I don't know. Do you have anything else to add about what happened?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure I might riff off of some of the notes and comments you got, but that's basically what happened.
I don't know if there's much. I do have a harder time taking notes for these types of things, also because I'm not watching the time that's elapsed, because you have a typical amount of time that it takes to relate back what happened. I'm not watching the time. And so I'm like, what?
It's over already?
Yeah, I have no expectation. And so it comes as a shock every time. So anyways, the notes, they kind of, there's notes and then it's like, it dissolves. But the notes are, so you're in the Feywild. Then you discover there's a potential mirror effect to where you're at based on where you were.
For like the gates?
Well, you said like the worlds could be mirroring each other.
Yeah, like we wouldn't necessarily visually see it.
No, but
the existence
layered. Potentially, but it's not confirmed.
Yeah, It's all those wives' tales and things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You guys are calm, cool, and collected, or you're trying to be. You're projecting calm, cool, and collectivity. You go on a neighborhood path tour, unintentionally. I guess maybe we should explain neighborhood tour for us. We, I guess, I don't know how long it's been. Probably only since we have been out of high school, which has been a long time. But we bus everywhere because both of us have whatever issues driving. It's fine. But as a result, the buses are sometimes an adventure.
Yeah.
And instead of getting upset because maybe we got on the wrong bus, or maybe the bus was taking too long, or maybe it was the wrong route, we would just call them neighborhood tours.
Yeah, no big deal.
And
route.
we made the best of it. Oh,
yeah.
I've never seen this neighborhood before. We get to go on a neighborhood tour.
I remember one time specifically when we were going to a friend's party together, and we I guess we were so engrossed in conversation, we literally forgot to get off at our stop for 10 minutes. And we just kept going, and then we had to walk all the way back.
We had to walk back.
That was a neighborhood tour.
That was a neighborhood tour. So those experiences when we were, getting lost so often, carried over into, I use that term quite often. If someone takes a wrong turn, even if it's the slightest, oops, oh, I should have turned the street behind. The slightest detour, I'm like, neighborhood tour.
Woo!
So anyways, that's a reference. It's really probably way funnier to us. But you went on a neighborhood path tour.
Yeah.
And then you decided to head to the big city.
Yeah.
You discovered the SGW.
The small giant worm.
Small giant worm. You decided that not you specifically, but Selwyn decided she needed some retail therapy, so you all went along with it.
Yeah.
On the SGW, there was some
situations.
Yeah, some silly hat situations.
Yeah.
It made me think of, here's a real, I reference things all the time.
It's a good way of understanding things.
That's how I relate to the world.
Yeah.
But when you said silly hat, there's a Blue's Clues movie, and there's a whole entire song part of silly hats. And the whole time you're just talking about this situation, I was singing the song in my head and being like, whoa, it's been a long time since I've thought of that. But anyway.
Jess has younger siblings. She doesn't just for fun, just so you know.
But also,
maybe she also does.
But also, I definitely wouldn't put it past me.
It's comfort stuff, you know?
Yeah. It is. Okay, so the silly hat situation, maybe some pickpocketing, but whatever. We just turn a blind eye right now because it didn't impact the current events.
Exactly.
Then you had a little bit of the girlies are fighting.
Awkward.
Tension. You got some walkie-talkie bracelets.
Yeah. So excited to use those.
I am excited about those. I'm interested to see, I feel like there'll be dire situation.
Potentially.
Right?
Yeah.
Things are bad. There's only one option. I need to get this message through somehow.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. So
Tyrion tested him out by holding all four of us and going, "You guys are a bunch of nerds."
That's funny. And then you got some info on potentially how to leave or what options you have. A little bit pricey. And then you discovered the Bad Vibe mirrors. Well, the Bad Vibe compact in particular.
Yeah.
Which is
yeah. And the others, I forgot to mention, the others actually bought some compacts.
Oh,
I think Kyrian, Quinn, and Ava, I don't remember if someone bought one or not. They now have compacts that they can check once a day to have a little fortune told for them. So that'll be fun.
And there's a term that's coming to mind, but it's not because I can't think of it. But it's critical, so maybe it's not necessary that I say it. But I do not agree with this plan.
It creeps me out.
I don't like it. Maybe that's our like religious upbringing speaking. Maybe we're just like, absolutely not.
Trouble.
That's wrong.
But like hearing the fortunes, even just like hearing it, I'm like, I don't know if I want to be told things like that with my, because obviously I wouldn't in character have seen or heard what the fortunes they saw were, but like just kind of hearing it. So I guess I was like, I don't think I want to hear something like that about my character, because then that's gonna remain in my mind and I'm gonna be mulling over it. So I guess that in itself was a character thing, knowing they're seeing dark things enough. But yeah, it doesn't appeal to me a whole lot.
No, that's just it.
Yeah.
It's not even like, it's not like I specifically can say like, oh, that's gonna be a bad idea. It's just so unappealing.
And like even the idea that it's not like this is going to happen in some way, it's just like this might happen. It's so easy to like get fixated on that and be so focused on trying to avoid or trying to make that situation happen that you're missing everything else that's happening, could potentially be happening. So I don't know.
Maybe that's our anxiety speaking as well.
Yeah.
Like, we just have anxious minds.
We literally have anxiety disorders, actually.
Yeah. A few of them. But not to brag or anything.
No biggie.
Well,
just affect our lives in so many ways.
Just constantly, every waking hour is just weighed down, but don't be jealous.
I thought I could play a character without anxiety. Who was I kidding?
I guess, yeah. My thing, like getting back on the topic of participating as a character in a campaign, I could not separate who I am. As much as I understand why people would be like, I want to be a different character. One, I think my deep-seated God complex would be like, no, I'm good. I'm perfect enough. Nothing could be better than me. And then the other part is I don't think I could remove myself, even if I attempted to create a character that's so different from me that it would be hard to actually force my own personality into that character. It would be really difficult to like forget.
Yeah.
I would just impulsively be like, no, that's what I want.
Yeah. But I mean, like, also at the same time, it is kind of fun to be able to experience a fantasy setting as essentially yourself with some extra abilities that you don't have in real life. Like, that's kind of appealing as well.
Like in Spy Kids 3. When they
so much. Yeah. The video game.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Video game.
Okay, good. Yeah. I thought you...
I have seen Spy Kids 3.
Seen that.
That was the best, like, was it Elijah Wood that was in it? Or... Yeah, that was the best Elijah Wood cameo in the world, really. Yeah.
But then we know what happens, right? When they're trying to pretend to be something they're not.
Yeah, goes dark.
So, it does. Because we base all of
someone that's a little bit like us and a little bit not like us.
Yeah. No, it's all very interesting, and I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens next week.
I have some theories. Well, not theories, but like I have an idea of a way to get out that I'm not sure if the rest of the party is going to be on board with, which I haven't pitched to them yet. So I'm not going to actually mention it right now, but we'll see that next session. Like if that's something people are interested in doing, or if we want to go do some gambling or some game playing or something.
Does it involve, setting up all those devilish compacts and them self-destructing? What if you show them to each other?
We should try that.
What if you did show them to each other and it had no other option than to show what actually happens? Because you said it's like a rotating variable situation. But if they're seeing each other, then it like, I don't know.
They like create some reality dispute.
We'll see. Okay.
Try that. Yeah, so we'll see what happens next session. If we get out or stay in Feywild for a little longer. Yeah. And interestingly, like I kind of assumed Ava was gonna want to go on a whole vendetta situation, seeing as she has the name of this person who created the obelisk, and maybe like want to go get them. But she seems pretty bent on getting out ASAP and never coming back. So I guess at least we don't have that fight to worry about.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that's a positive, I guess.
Seeing as they seem fairly powerful magic, I don't know if we'd have much of a chance if we decided to get mad at them. But yeah, we'll see if they come up again.
Maybe she's hiding something.
Maybe Ava is secretly the big bad of the campaign.
Oh my gosh. Theory for another time.
I'm kidding. Well, should we roll some dice? Okay. What color would we like? Pink, green, or purple and teal?
Last time we rolled your pinky one and got... Did we? I don't remember.
Time with this campaign, I think we did the pink one. We did the green one most recently, I think.
So let's do the purple one?
Or let's drop the dice everywhere.
Whatever one's closest to you.
I currently am still holding the pink one.
Okay, let's go with it.
The fates have decided. 8.
Oh, okay.
It's just a meh. Middle ground, good old fashioned meh.
All right.
I hope you've had a meh week so far, and the rest of the week continues to be meh. Just kidding.
Yeah. That's comforting.
Yeah. I hope nothing too eventful happens in your life. Honestly, that is something I wish on people. I hope that your life is not too eventful.
Yeah. At least for a little while.
Yeah.
The world is crazy. Okay.
It is. Before we get to why can't I say that word? Say it for me.
It's too oppressive. Existential.
Existential. Before we get to existential on you, we shall bid you adieu.
Thank you.
Have a good
for joining us.
Yes.
And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Now this is a story all about how my D&D parties came about. And I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there, and I'll tell you this week's adventure of a Bard and Ranger.